Hello and welcome to Audionautic Deep Space Network, episode 79. This is the independent musician's guide to production and promotion. And today we're walking through and demoing how to use Stable Diffusion, an AI art generator, as well as some ideas for how to use it as a musician. We'll also talk some interesting news from Limewire that, yes, Limewire, they're back, that could be beneficial for musicians. And finally, in the round robin, we're going to discuss a patron request on different ways to approach drum production. This show is brought to you by our patrons, and each week we go live with them before it heads to podcast platforms on Saturday. You can head to patreon.com/audionautic to join and share your opinions on the stream, as well as additional bonus content and hangouts like our Starstream Hangout, which is coming this Sunday. Today, I'm joined by Eon Lake and Curtis. Curtis, I selfishly brought this whole Stable Diffusion thing to the menu, so to speak, today because I see you've been doing it for your live streams for the artwork, and I've been using some other AI generators for artwork, and I'm over them. And I was like, oh, I want to use Stable Diffusion, and he sent me an invite. I go on the Discord, and I was like, crap, Discord, I hate it. And I just saw all these different things. It was like, you know what? Why don't we just, for educational purposes, in quotes, go through this live on the episode? And Curtis is kind enough to demo it for us. So do you want to give any preamble before we go into it, Curtis?
Yeah. So Stable Diffusion is like another AI.
Oh, I'm getting some fuzzy distortion from you there, Curtis. We are live. We are live.
Yeah.
Still going.
We got it. How's that now? 1, 2, 1, 2.
It's all glitchy.
It's all glitchy.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's always right before we go live. Everything was fine in the green room. We were great. And then as soon as we go live, Curtis his computer or Wi-Fi decides to just as Hydrofighter says,
elbow on
the crusher. Yeah, as Hydrofighter Curtis, I just muted you real quick while I run through. We've got a bunch of our patrons on here though, so while Curtis sorts this out, we've got Hydrofighter saying we're adding some Bit Crush. Yeah, I mean, I love Bit Crush. I'm not sure how I feel about it on podcast voices, but hey, I mean, if that's what you like, that's great. Then we've got you covered, I guess. We've also got FCC is in the chat. Paul, he says, hey chaps, how are we all? We're great. How are you, Paul? Happy to have you. We'll be talking in the round robin your suggestion about drums. And we've also got Abby in the chat. How's it going, Abby? And we've also got Shady Ridge. What's up, Shady? Josh, I've got you muted. Do you want me to unmute you? Or are you moving? Okay. He says no. Nobody wants the bit crushing and popping. Well, we usually have been editing these things later, so usually you wouldn't see any of this. But we decided, because I've got a baby on the way, Curtis has to take the reins of a lot of the editing and stuff. We're changing our pipeline a little bit, so we are live. And so you get to experience all the technical difficulties and all that. But I guess while we wait, let's see. Wait, he unmuted.
Any better?
Oh, I think so.
Any better?
Yes. Much better. Much better.
For just so everyone is aware, I get paid on Friday, and therefore a new microphone will be bought. I don't have the best of luck with microphones, it seems.
That's all right.
Wait to get paid, guys. Wait to get paid.
We're waiting. Yes. We're waiting. I've been waiting for like a year and a half. So if it happens after I'm not here when the baby comes, I'm going to be very mad and disappointed.
It's pretty much guaranteed.
There we go.
Right?
Yeah, probably. That's true, Eon Lake. All right, so do you want to give, now that the microphone's working, do you want to give a preamble about Stable Diffusion?
Yeah, Stable Diffusion, basically another AI-generated artwork server. Put a prompt in, put a text prompt in, it spits out some form of artwork, same as Midjourney, same as you've got one on Canva, I believe. I can't remember what the name is.
No, Bazart
per se at the moment.
Bazart,
that's the one. And it's basically another one, to quote Khaled. The idea is Midjourney, for example, there is a subscription involved if you want to generate a certain amount of images. However, in my experience with Stable Diffusion, no such thing exists, and you're basically getting the same quality. So I started using Midjourney for a bit, and then I kind of switched across to Stable Diffusion when I worked out it was free, and it was pretty damn good. That's the preamble. The question is, I suppose, on people's lips is, why would you use this? I suppose. And it's a wonderful space to, firstly, if you are a brand new producer, to kind of get ideas and kind of throw things together, to kind of get an idea of kind of what an artwork would be, if you're then going to take that to a human artist to generate something itself. It's a way that you can generate many images and then collage them together into your own piece of artwork, if that's what you wanted to do. I don't know about you guys, but it can also be a good way to, if I've got an image, or if I'm a lot more word based, for example. I'm very word based. I'm very kind of text heavy. That if I can put that and then it can spit something out of me, I can use that. As you know, the Curtis universe, they're all kind of stories in this universe, which I have in here. So for me, I can see it and I can make something a lot better in that regard.
Well, if I might interject, what I was going to add too is, like, I'm not an artist in terms of drawing art, and this is a way for me, if I have an idea, like you were saying, a word sort of idea in my head, I can type that in and generate something that's similar. Like, that's the whole point of the project I'm doing this year, is to kind of, if I'm making a song and go, oh, that sounds like this alien landscape that's got, you know, a red moon or a purple moon and this, now I can type all that in and it just generates it. And that, I think, is really cool. If you're not a artist, you're a musician, but you're not an artist and you want art, there's this way to do it.
Yeah, for sure. I think as well, if we're separating the notion of album artwork and weekly, like thumbnails, for example, this is an incredibly good way to do it. If I may share my screen, if we're doing that at this point. There you go. Thank you, brother. More recently, I found a lot of success in the thumbnails for my live streams, where I've got this idea. I always take a concept every week and then I kind of run with it, and it's kind of loosely created to the sound that I'm making, right? So for example, you've got I've got Praha in the Rain, or Prague in the Rain, and it was a lo-fi kind of jam, right? So I just went into Stable Diffusion and went, hey, give me Prague on a rainy day, and I threw it in, and then I changed the sky and put some more rain in there and kind of came through. Delirium, for example, that ghoul was generated by AI. And I then kind of edited it and then put a background in, changed it around, and kind of moved it. You know,
did you have to fix the fingers on that?
Well, no, it's a ghoul. It's a ghoul.
So you can get away with it. Okay. All right. So why don't you walk us through then how to actually do this? Because like when I open Discord, or when I open the Discord, there's all these different channels and all that, and a lot of different FAQs and things like that, but you actually do it, so you can just walk us through, avoiding all the craziness, just get right to it, right?
For sure. The first thing to begin, let me just share the screen up here. The first thing to bear in mind is the fact that you've got your Discord one. You've got the Audionautic Discord channel here if you wanted to come and say hi to us in the Discord. But yeah, first thing to you can really understand and take away from the fact is anything that isn't on this bot side here, you can ignore. You can choose to just ignore it. As you can see, everything here is in bold white, which if you're a Discord user, no, it's unread. I stay in bot 1.
What are the other bots?
It's just because there's so
algorithms
many... or no. It's just duplicates of the same thing. It's just because there's so many people using it. It's to avoid server overload, essentially.
Gotcha.
So they all do the same thing. And occasionally, if you're putting in prompt after prompt after prompt after prompt, it will tell you, hey, dude, slow down, like give it a minute, and then you come back to it. But it's just to keep it flowing, essentially.
Okay.
Occasionally, more recently, as I keep going, there are competitions, and like you can compare, like here, you can vote, for example. That's quite fun. That's nice. That's building the community kind of thing. But that's all optional. You don't have to do that. There is no, as far as I can tell, there's no difference between bot 1 and bot 10. They all do the same stuff. So you can go from there. And it is just a Discord channel, Discord server, and you are with other people. You can get your own privatized one if you want, but that's when you start paying. And no one's got time for that. Plus, it's also nice to see what other people... A number of times, these prompts that you can see under here, for example... I'm struggling to get a type of aesthetic or a kind of a a feel or a look, and I actually see other people. There you go. Another one's come through.
Yeah,
I
you can
actually
see their prompts, right?
Yeah, you can see their prompts. And so for example, ultra detailed 8K
Here,
image.
hold on. Let
right?
me just go
You zoom
here.
in?
There we
There you
go.
go.
Yeah.
So here, for example, I struggle sometimes to get the right kind of image. But if I go ultra high detail, I go, oh, okay, this guy, he's got that, and that's kind of that's what that works, that kind of thing. And so you can take little aspects of it and kind of go from there.
Yeah.
Now, the trick or the method here is not necessarily it's a myth that you're just going to put a prompt in and spit out something that is perfect. You have to kind of finesse your language, a bit like ChatGPT. You have to kind of change the way you're going, and so it can take a while depending on what you want to go for, how obscure you want to go for. But should we try a prompt?
Yes, let's do it.
Yeah.
So everything starts with the backslash and then dream. All right, you type in backslash and then dream, and it comes up with a prompt, as you can see there, and then you type in your prompt. Now, what was it we were discussing in the green room? I can't remember. Oh yeah,
Something about an SP404, right?
American producer, American music producer, in love with his SP404 Mark II.
One word.
There we go. Oh, hang on, I have screwed that up. Hang on. American music producer, in love with his Roland.
SP404 is one word.
SP404 Mark II. Now, what we're going to say is American music producer in love with his Roland SP404 Mark II. Let's nick this guy's prompts and go 8K ultra high definition. Let's go with that.
Image. Do you have to put image, or let's see?
No, not at all. You can just go with that. And that gives you a good starting point. And of course, it's voting time. The GPUs are pausing for a moment. Swing by the showdown on a bot channel and make it to the Pantheon. So yeah, this is what sometimes happens. Isn't that interesting that as soon as we go live, this is when the GPUs shut down for a little bit. So we're going to make...
Perfect timing,
yeah. So we're just going to type this again. What is one thing I would always say, it's a good opportunity to say that if this happens, because it does happen randomly, and it isn't something that you can predict, before you send, copy your prompt, because if it does happen, you can just go back and rechange it. If you're on a good track, if you're on a good trip, it's a good way of doing it. So, American music producer, in love with his Roland SP404 Mark II, 8K ultra high definition. Right, we're going to learn from our mistakes here, much like the AI does in their own right. We're going to copy it, and we're going to hope that it spits out something. There we go.
Oh, well, real quick while we sort this one out, FCC says loving Eon Lake shirt, and just to zoom in there, Eon Lake, do you mind modeling that shirt real quick? There we go, sequential circuits, yeah.
That's exactly.
Oh, I think you're muted, Eon Lake. Let me unmute you there. Oh, you muted yourself. You've got to unmute it.
Yeah, we're not aiming for any sponsorship or anything. Just, being fanboys.
I mean, aren't we all just fanboys, really? Isn't that what we're all about at the end of the day? We're all about... Hang on, let me try this one more time. If it does this again, I want to tell you a little bit about everything else before we move on. Let's try this.
Oh, there's another ultra detailed 8K image.
Yeah. So you send it off, right? It says dreaming for Curtis, right?
Oh, here, let me zoom in again. There we go.
Yeah. Sends it off, and then it spits it.
That's not an SP404.
So this is where it kind of gets a little bit difficult. It's when it kind of gets a bit different. So this is what it spat out. Obviously, the hands are not too bad.
Oh no, look at the hands though. They're all like there's 80 knuckles.
There's 80
look at all the knuckles.
That is
and wrist bumps.
Yeah, like where his thumb's supposed to be, it's a knuckle and bumps. What is that?
On the other
hand,
hand,
those fingers.
Look at that thumb.
It's a claw. Can you zoom in on that?
I think so. Hang on. I can't know, but
okay.
There we go.
You should slip and put right angle thumb in the prompt.
Look at the thumb on the left hand. What is that?
But it is a well-known thing that AI does struggle with hands, and because there's just less source material. We are working with a model here which takes artwork from pre-existing artwork and regenerates it in its own way. Artists generally, human artists, struggle with hands, so it makes sense that an AI would struggle with hands as well.
But as we talked about in the last episode, that's our way of knowing if an image is AI, is you can tell by the hands.
That had me wondering, really, if you could repeat the prompts but with no hands in it. But then I thought, no, that could end up even worse.
That could get strange.
For example, if I do say let's take something that's less human, right? For example, which this is what
do a landscape. Do a landscape. Something
Bob
Bob Rossian.
But a Bob Ross styled landscape of a lake. And
I was gonna say pond, but we can go with lake.
Mountains.
It's got to have mountains.
Birds
and a cabin.
And a cabin.
Got to have a cabin
in the forest. For example,
ultra 8K high definition
with a UFO.
No,
with a UFO. That's it.
With an SP404.
And a bear eating a human.
No, with a Prophet 5, with a sequential circuit Prophet 5.
We're going to go with a bear. Okay, so Bob Ross styled landscape of a lake in front of a mountain, birds in the sky, and a cabin in the forest with a UFO and a bear. Why not? Send it off. In theory, we send that off.
Wait, copy it.
I'm going to copy it. Don't worry. I'll put that in. Try that again. Dream. Hashtag, well, not hashtag, /dream. Put the prompt in. Bob Ross styled landscape of a lake in front of a mountain, birds in the sky, and a cabin in the forest with a UFO and a bear.
You got get rid on the right again. Do you need that?
No, you don't need that. That's just mine.
Yeah.
I don't think it doesn't make much of a difference, but
okay.
But it's streaming it, so it creates the seed for you. Ooh, interesting. What Gabrielle Bab is.
So
doing
wait,
here.
now this gets interesting because it's AI is dreaming. That's like, do androids dream of electric sheep? Right? You know. Oh, look at that! Wow,
that's kind of nice.
Yeah, there we go. That's cool.
That's beautiful. You know.
Yeah.
And that's very nice. There you go. There's your bear.
The UFO up there.
There's your cabin. There's your UFO.
That bird is humongous. Yeah. Unless it's very close up.
Well, it's like the same as this guy. There's just one there, you know. Now, it's not perfect, obviously, but this is where you can start kind of finessing where you're going, right? So if we come back up, usually it gets locked up because this dude, Ali, is really wants that AI cinema image of the dude at the bar. And that's fine. That's what people want to do, right? Now, you can tell the AI which one you prefer, either A or B, and that is like giving back to the AI. So the AI knows, and it kind of micro learning, so to speak. You can then choose to DM it to you, A or B, right? So if you go into my private messages, Stable Diffusion messages me with everything that I like, and I can keep it, and it's there forever. And that's where you download it from, for example, just by following the link.
What's the quality size? Or what's the quality, I should say?
I can go well beyond a Photoshop file of 2000 by 2000, which is more than what you'd ever need for any art. Yeah, it's good. It's high quality, and there's no barrier to that. It's not like you're paying for that, you know.
Yeah.
Then down at the bottom, these are the really interesting ones. If you like the kind of style, for example, this is quite a cool style. I kind of like this. It's kind of cool. You can choose to redo it in the same style, right? So we'll spit out a different image, but in the same style, right? You have a restyle, where it will spit out a similar image in a different style. And then you've got resize. Now, resize is a bit more chaotic. It will tend to do a different version of the artwork, and it will do it in a new style. Not quite sure why. You can... Like we said, Bob Ross styled landscape. You can choose your style that you want in the prompt, like, I don't know, like 1920s photography, or anime, or
like that guy at the bar.
Or 8K ultra high detailed, if that's what you want. Yeah, you can do that if you want to do it. But yeah, I to be honest, if it's me, I like this idea. If I went with the Bob Ross style landscape, to be honest, I kind of like that. It's kind of cute. But then you can just do, if I hit simply redo, it sends off the same prompt. As you can see, you scroll all the way down in a second. Quite a lot of people have been doing this, but also it's dreaming again.
Is that Yoda?
It looked
Where?
like it. Yeah.
I saw like Yoda up. Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
some D&D Yoda. What's the
A goblin,
prompt?
a goblin
Oh,
shaman
okay.
in front of an altar, dark cave with torches, dungeons, and dragon style art. That's
That
pretty
second
cool.
one, yeah, okay, that looks like a goblin. Then it's just from that very small picture. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's cool. Now, if we keep see here we go. Oh, look, very much
Ooh.
music for Imagined Landscapes. That's cool.
Yes.
Oh,
I like that first one though. Open that one.
yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
so
that's cool. The reflections.
Yeah.
Yeah. See
No
that?
UFO in the reflection though.
No, sadly not. But you could imagine that it's somewhat maybe over here. I don't know. But anyway,
That's what makes it more spooky.
Yeah.
the
Maybe it's intentional. Yeah.
There's a reflection of a bird, but no bird.
Yeah, and this bird is kind of just
more the longer I look
Oh
at
yeah.
it.
Yeah, there's some. Yeah, that's what happens with AI art. The more you look, the more you notice things are wonky with it.
Yeah, and
That
I
one's
think
cool. But yeah, no reflection of the bird.
yeah, but I think it's one of those that can be finessed. For example,
Yeah.
when we did, if I, for example, now if I was to take that into Photoshop, what I would do is I would cut out the UFO, I would flip it and put it in the water myself.
Yeah.
If I really wanted to, you can do that, and it is about finessing your prompt, and it's about coming up with something that you might want to try, and it is about. Sometimes I'll sit here for an hour, like prompting and re-prompting, just finessing what I'm saying in order to make it perfect. And obviously, it's AI; it's not going to be perfect.
No,
but
that's what I kind of learned on this journey of the album art is like embrace the wonkiness of the AI art, right? If you're trying, like, if the point is to show that, like, that is the point of my project. If you're trying to hide that or something, or make it more interactive with the human element or something like that, yeah, but it's kind of like that's kind of part of it, is that there's just these interesting little glitches and things like artifacts and whatnot.
Yes, completely. And in the same way that our music has imperfections and it is something that will never be the same as what we imagine in our head, this is a wonderful little allegory for that, I feel. And you know, there is I still, like I say, I don't think it is a case of just taking this, slapping some title on it, and then putting it up on DistroKid. I don't think it's a case.
No, there's always something where you want to finesse it and do that. I mean, unless you don't have the capability. But I mean, there's Retouch on the iPhone, which is free. What is it? Canva, you can do a pretty decent bit for free. BazArt, you have to pay, but you can do a lot in there. If you're using an iPhone or iOS or even Android for some of them, there are ways, even if you don't have Photoshop or something like that, that you can take this and finesse it and do that. And I would recommend it. I'm just saying, like, I mean, it's the method you're using. These are inherent things to it. So yeah, you want to finesse it, but remember that that's always going to be there, at least while it's still learning and developing and all that.
Exactly.
Oh, he's going for another prompt.
I'm going to go photorealistic cat on a piano.
Oh, you got to do a synthesizer, man.
Yeah, what's the matter with you?
You got to do it. Cats on synths in space.
All right, sorry guys. On a synthesizer flying through space.
Ultra 8K.
Ultra 8K. Ultra 8K. Let's see what happens. Photorealistic cat on synthesizer flying through space. Ultra 8K. Let's go with that. So as well, just I put that in just for the lols, but just to branch off what you were saying, Sunwarper, if you don't have the capability,
oh, there we go. There we go. Yeah, that's a
wonderful.
Robot cat too. That first one, it looks like it's got
it's like Darth Vader.
Oh, is that a space suit or yeah? Wow. There we go. That's the one.
For the win. Yeah.
That's
playing
the
the
one.
the wrong way around though.
That's true, but
Does
it know it's a cat?
Cats do what
Yeah,
they
see,
want,
Curtis, we're on the same page. We're both like, how would it know it's a cat?
I'm sure if it was a cat, it would be pushing the synth off the stand.
I think that's very fair. I think again, you can cut this out, you can mold it, you can mesh it to what you want it to do. But I think also, if you don't have the capabilities to do that, I think that's when you would take these as sketches almost, and then you would take it to a member of the community, or you would go on Fiverr or Upwork, and you would find someone who did have the digital art capabilities and say, hey, I've got these ideas, can you put it together in one cohesive unit, and then work with an artist the traditional way. I don't think I've done any commission or had any artist or worked with any artist who hasn't asked for references. This is a great referencing tool. It's better than
That's true.
better than it's better than a scribble on a napkin, that's for sure.
Or just text.
Or just text, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, is there anything else? That's the kind of the basis of what you're doing, and that's where we go. Now, the limit is your imagination. There are plenty of cheat sheets online, and there are. I think the wonderful way is working. The wonderful thing is working out what the AI listens to, and kind of like if that's when you start learning about artistic styles, and you can start learning about different mediums of art, be it like acrylic, or if it were to be geometrical or anything. It's a good way to kind of start exploring that and learning for yourself. But is there anything else that I have missed that you would like to know?
Yeah, there's one thing I just want to add, just in my time with a couple other different AI image generators, is really think about prompt, because the more detail and more definitions in the prompt you can give, typically the better. Like if you scroll down to that guy that keeps making the bar dudes, like look at his prompts, right? He's very specific about what he wants. Now, I'm not, this isn't a knock on Curtis. We wanted to just kind of demo and show the more ethereal concept and bring it to a reality. But if you're really trying to get a specific image, the more detail you can put in, the better. And then there's a lot of, like Curtis was saying, with cheat sheets and stuff, there's a lot of different kind of prompts you can do that, like terms for prompts of like what you wanted to do, ultra 8K definition, this type of style, this and that. And like Frequency Control Center says in the chat, AI is only as good as what you tell it to do. Yeah,
exactly. So, for example, just to not, again, I'm not the bastion of knowledge on this one, but for example, this is the artwork that I got for my live stream after the show for Sisyphia. Black and white photograph of a mythological landscape. In the center of the frames an ancient city in the style of the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. The city is centered around a giant round boulder, and it spat that out. Like that's rather specific. And you have to, as you can see, I've gone through.
I like that one with the floating. That one.
Yeah, cool. I've got. It's cool, you know. That one, analog film style of a mythological landscape. I've even gone 16 by 9
Oh,
resolution.
so you can tell it different resolutions.
Yeah.
Okay, and you're hold on, just go back. You're putting that in the prompt. What do you say? Just 16 by 9 res. Okay, cool. Yeah,
16 by 9 resolution.
That's perfect. Because like for my live streams, I like to do AI images behind what I'm doing that day, like the SP404 or this and that. So yeah, having it be, because that one I was using, Bazart, it's all square, and then you have to cut it, and the resolution gets messed up and stuff. So that's very cool.
Yeah, I mean, this one, like, hyper-realistic Zen garden with a monk meditating, surrounded by the cosmos, overlooking a futuristic city that is on fire. The monk is.
I like how he's the one surrounded by fire.
Yeah, and in a bubble,
or like
around
Avatar magic or something.
Exactly, yeah, and the more detailed you go, and the more in depth that you can vocalize and communicate to the AI, this is what you want. The better your thing, better your artist, better your artwork is going to be. And it is a little bit hit and miss at the beginning, and it's hit and miss the whole time, to be honest. But you just gotta keep running with it, you know. I mean,
keep finessing.
Exactly, this Zen Buddhist idea, I did. This is just the ones that I said, okay, send to me. But I mean, there was loads more than that, you know. Yeah. And so it takes time, takes a bit of effort, you know. Just got to kind of go with it, run with it, I suppose. But at the same time, right? If you've got something that's really, like, for example, digital art of the physical manifestation of loneliness in the human form, right? That's really pretty broad.
I love the irony of asking AI to give the physical manifestation of loneliness in human form. Like I did that one time. I asked the AI to do the conceptualize infinity, and it just made a bunch of circles. It's like really creepy gray and yellow. Like I was like, oh, this is getting weird.
Yeah, but that's it. You know, like it's ironic in that sense, but it can spit out some gems just from nothing. So even if you do have a sentence, even putting down a sentence is a good place to start. And then what you get back allows you to go, oh, maybe if I added this, maybe if I added that. It's like music production. It's a bit of a journey. Which is ironic.
Yeah, if anyone watching this either live or watching it back or on Spotify wants us to go more in depth about anything specifically or talk more about detailed prompts and things like that, let us know and we can cover it in another episode. But let's just really quickly talk a little bit about and Eon, like, I'm curious if you have any ideas, but ways that musicians could incorporate this. We've already talked about album artwork and thumbnails, but do you have any other ideas, Eon?
Flyers, posters, promotion,
Yep,
postcards.
Yep.
Anything,
I was gonna say for videos.
Logo.
Yeah,
Videos.
logos. That's one. I was gonna say if you need videos for social media or something, you could do just static images and zoom in and out or something. But I think it was Abby in the patron Discord channel used a AI video maker that was really cool, and I think it cost money or something. But I mean, you could just take a single image and just add some filters, maybe like a some movement to it just to make it interesting, and you can put some music on it, 10-20 seconds, and you've got a promo.
Yeah, for sure.
I didn't mean to cut you off, Ian, like, but that was great. Do you have anything else you think?
No, I mean, in summary, if you're one of those people who just thinks, I'm just a music guy, and you get fed up with having to do all this other stuff, well, here comes your little helper, to take some of the pain out of things like that, unless it's something that you enjoy. But I think even if it's something that you enjoy, it's kind of a tool to still be creative anyway. So I think you kind of got the best of both worlds there.
Yeah. Let's see. FCC in the chat says you can get AI animation now. I've seen some DJs using it. Yeah, there was a trending thing on Reddit of a DJ playing, and the AI art was moving behind him on this huge screen. It was really cool. And yeah, I mean, that's what I can't remember. Curtis, you seemed like you resonated when I was mentioning it, but Abby was using some sort of app or program to do it. It was a paid one or something. It looked really cool though. I think he did like the 1960s space race, and it had all these like ships and stuff like that. But we'll find it later, and we can. Unless you found it.
Kyber's AI.
Okay.
It's in the Discord. I'll tell you what. If I copy the link, copy the message ID, copy the message link, and I'll put it in the chat for people. Go and have a look to our Discord. Abby made it.
They said that. I think they said it costs money.
It does. It costs it costs money, and it costs more money per how much more video you want to make. Hey Tina, didn't see you there. And then but it's something that I've often thought, hey, if I don't have a big expenditure for the month, I'd have a little bit of experimentation. Cat on a synth,
this is the actual physical manifestation of Cat on a synth. We don't need to ask AI to do it. On the monologue, there we go.
There you go. So yeah, there is ways of doing it. Now, we have seen that in the news this week. Limewire has just launched its Polygon blockchain, which incorporates AI art, AI music, and AI animation. So while these days AI animation, AI video is relatively expensive, I don't think it's going to be that way forever. I really don't think it's going to be it's the next stage. If Midjourney and Stable Diffusion and Bazaar are all the democratization of AI generated artwork, we are seeing the AI generated video coming soon, and I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be really exciting.
I think there's a few free ways to do it even now, and I think there's a thing that I watched some video where somebody was using like this Google AI thing to generate it. I'll have to look and see if I can find it again and put it in the comments later. But there are some things, that you can do. I think if you have an image, it can like try and emulate it or something. But yeah, if anybody uses any AI, either free or paid, let us know, either comments or in the chat. It's interesting.
For sure. I think Eon hit it on the head quite nicely. You've got a buddy in the studio to help you doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I think that's the main thing in this regard. And these, okay, like I say, if we jump across to our news of the week, where we have a look at Limewire, the idea of these are becoming ever much more ingrained, becoming ever much more sophisticated, so to speak. And yeah, our old friend Limewire. I don't know if you guys at home ever use Limewire, and I'm just thinking.
No,
back
everyone's
to
an upstanding citizen of their.
That would be unethical.
the days. Back in the days before Netflix, we used to have to do all this stuff. You know. Anyway, they obviously they died a death when Netflix came in and supposedly rejuvenated for the better the film and movie and music industry or streaming music industry. But Limewire was bought back, and they have now released what's called the Polygon blockchain. In a name, and they say, as they say, to help artists create Web3 content, which is very
NFT.
Yeah, basically creating NFTs in their own
yeah.
right. And without getting into the nitty gritty of what this means and what the blockchain is and how it all works, essentially, if you, the idea that they're going for is the fact that if you as an artist were to make music or to make artwork or whatever, and someone was to buy that, you would yourself get paid in royalties without going through a middleman / woman / human / cat on a synth, and you would be paid directly. Also, if that buyer then sold on that artwork, you would be paid again and continue to be paid in royalties directly. That's what they're going for.
Yeah, that's the beauty of blockchain. I mean, the promise of blockchain is this whole idea that, as it gets sold and resold, the original creator is still getting a percentage of that and things like that. But isn't this Limewire one doing something a little more specific where it's doing AI generation and a couple other things?
Yeah, so if I just skip across to this tab here that you can see, you can have an account, which we haven't done yet, and you basically buy credits in the same way that we've just done a demonstration of Stable Diffusion. You can generate image artwork in that regard. That's their basic line for now, but as you can see, we have audio coming soon and we have video. Importantly, video coming soon. They haven't,
as we were just talking about. Yeah,
exactly. So it looks like Limewire is becoming a one-stop shop for AI generated media in the
and then they I think get a percentage cut, right, of anything sold on the chain through them or something.
Yes, exactly. So, and it's meant to be a smaller cut than, say, if you got release your music through a record label or something like that, or if you release your music out through YouTube, where YouTube takes 30% of all earnings, for example. So yeah, that's the idea. It's interesting. It's in its early stages. It's another player in the AI game. Ian Lake, what are you thinking?
Sounds convenient. Really? Does it not? I mean, I guess the proof of the pudding's in the tasting and all of that. See how it stacks up against comparable tools, but it's sounding like the Amazon of content creation, really, isn't it? And I think removing any of the friction involved in doing stuff like this and putting everything all in one place is a pretty clever move, because you don't want people to have to go anywhere else, to keep them there. That's it. You make sure you get your slice. So yeah, I'll be watching that with interest.
Makes sense. Sunwarper?
I mean, I'm more intrigued by this, as I mentioned, this promise of blockchain with this history and movement and royalty coming back, because anytime something's sold, it goes back to the artist to a degree. There's like this log of it, and that idea is really cool. We keep hearing about all these awesome ideas that are on the blockchain, or that NFTs or this and that, but nothing's really fully manifested it yet. I'm not saying it won't, just yet into the zeitgeist, so to speak, that it's in common understanding. Everything's kind of like either angel investors or people who are crypto enthusiasts or blockchain enthusiasts. I haven't really seen any of this go, quote, mainstream yet. And all these promises sound great, and I think it will be interesting as it develops. And we're seeing more and more now. LimeWire's back doing it. Where have they been for the last whatever? But I don't know. I mean, I don't know what to think yet, because it just kind of all seems like promises and big like, hey, this is gonna happen, this is coming, and nothing yet. So it's hard for me to get fully excited, but the premise of it and the idea is interesting.
I sometimes think exactly along those lines. I think you're right. And I sometimes wonder if it's people that actually hold it back from taking off. And that once you have young people who've actually grown up with the idea, rather than people who, the ideas come along during their lifetime and they've gone, ooh, what's that? People just, it's already there. They don't question it quite as much. Maybe that might drive the adoption a bit more. People who don't actually think about it too much, just use it because it exists and it's always been there.
Yeah, that's true. And to me, though, it's kind of like the chicken and the egg, because for it to get to that point, people have to start using it, and so that it becomes more commonplace, right? I don't know. It's just interesting. So we keep hearing, like, we've been covering NFTs, not necessarily in a good way, but blockchain in a better light. But for the last year since ADSN's inception, and I mean, I don't really feel like much has changed besides NFTs had a big crash. I don't know if they've recovered at all, but they had a big drop and all that. And I think there's still, blockchain still seems promising. Crypto's doing its thing and all that, but like this whole huge promise of Web3 and all these changes, none of that seems to have come yet. And it may take time, and a lot of it sounds really cool. So I hope these things do come through, but it's just like, okay, just keep wait and see, I guess, like we've been doing. Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see. Now we have a lot of our patrons in the chat: FCC, Hydra Fighter, Shady Ridge, Abby, etc. Now, traditionally, well, I don't want to assume everything, but traditionally, the usage of AI artwork and AI generated content has always been one that is relatively balanced in that regard. And it's our non-patrons who are, I suppose, have different ideas and move through with that. Now, maybe it's something that we should discuss on Sunday. I'd like to know, because we have our patron hangout on Sunday. I would like to know what Josh, for example, has to say, because Josh over at Shady Ridge Records makes some absolutely wonderful, wonderfully designed artwork for the records that he produces. I would love to know what he thinks of this and how this would, if at all, if it would alter or change or affect his own marketing campaigns or anything like that. Maybe that's something we should discuss on Sunday.
I think so. And just as a heads up for our patrons or anyone interested in coming to our Starstream Hangout or joining the Patreon, there was actually a vote regarding the Starstreams that we start recording them, because some people, due to all the different, we're international, we have patrons, and even just all of us on the show are all over the place. So the timelines and time zones are a bit weird. So we go live on Sunday at 11 a.m. Same time we go live today, 11 a.m. on Wednesday. What is it? September 6th. Man, the days just keep going. Anyways, so we go live at 11 a.m. Pacific, which I believe is 7 p.m. UTC.
If it's 11, it'll be 8.
8. Okay, I was close. I'm getting there. But anyways, so if you want to join, you can head to patreon.com/audionautic. Patrons, we'll post it in the Twitter group, in the Discord, but also on Patreon. I think we're going to meet here on StreamYard, where we do our meets. And patrons, if you want to join this call for the round robin, the link's in the Twitter. But we'll meet here, and we're going to record it, so anybody that can't make it can watch it back. So yeah, I think having a topic like that would be good. And I think that's a really interesting one. Let's see. FCC says, as a designer, I wouldn't use AI generators, as the artwork is part of my whole creative process. Different if you're not a designer, though. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I think that's kind of what we're getting at. Like, we wanted to cover this from the perspective of musicians. Yeah, Curtis does a lot of design work, but he's also a musician. I'm a musician, but I can't do art. So I can take these ideas that come up in my head, or things like, oh yeah, the song sounds like this, and now I can make art for it. And then I can finesse it if I want, or do whatever I want. So yeah, or just if, like, I've got a baby coming in a couple weeks, if I really need content to put music on or something, but I can't film anything because, I can't get to my gear or something, I can do it right now beforehand with some AI art or something like that. There's a lot of different ways to utilize it.
I think just as an addition to that, I think there's a difference as well between artwork, right? So I mean, FCC makes absolutely wonderful artwork. You know, the albums that we've released on Audionautic Records with FCC are absolutely beautiful, and I that's all Paul. That's all Paul. It's beautiful. And that is something that is sacred, and that's something that should maintain, you know, a fruit of one's artistic labor. If you're looking at thumbnails, for example, like where, okay, so I do a live stream on a weekly basis and I need a thumbnail, you know, owing to scheduling, owing to stuff like that, it's not so much about the focus, I suppose, is not so much about the artwork. It's about making sure that there's a live stream that goes live each week. This is about me creating discipline within my own artistic endeavor. I need to have a thumbnail. It needs to be interesting. Do I want to sit down and make a piece of artwork once a week that I am going to pour my heart and soul into? No, my energy is best off in the moment elsewhere. It's a shortcut. It's a cheat sheet. And it's, you know, when I do my artwork for my art, for example, I'll sit down and I'll generate it and I'll make a collage and I'll do it all nice. But if I'm doing it week in, week out, if I make it, I make the thumbnails for Audionautic, for example. But I mean, for my live streams, it's about the music, less about the art. If I'm going to have a cheat sheet, it would be a great way to go.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I think, well, like Shady Ridge is saying, he says, I've always loved to draw as a young kid, so artwork intrigues me. The AI is not a bad thing, but I love to be creative. And FCC says, yes, this. And yeah, I agree. But I maybe this is a controversial opinion. I think you're still being creative using AI in the sense that you're taking creativity in the form of words and then it's turning it into images, but you're still thinking of an idea. There is still creativity in it. I understand what Shady and FCC are saying, and I'm not debating it. I'm just saying, me personally, I still feel like it's a form of creative expression, especially for me who can't draw. I can express these creative ideas through the use of generating what I am thinking of in terms of text. So I think it's kind of all relative, you know. But I get what you're saying, Curtis. Yeah. What, Ian Lake?
I agree with you.
Yeah. Well, I think we've exhausted this topic. Should we move on real quick to the marketing minute before we go to the round robin?
Let's do it.
All right. So this is a quick one. Not my favorite changes coming to YouTube, but they are changes, so I want to cover them real quick. Let me see if I can share my screen. So YouTube, two things from YouTube. Are you guys seeing my YouTube? Oh, there we go. Yeah, sorry, perfect. Okay, so I'm gonna be on my YouTube. Can you see my mouse?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so you guys see these new links here, sunwarper.com and 4 more links. If you click it, it takes you here, and here's all the links now. That's the new change. It used to be that over here you'd have what they called banner links, and you could have little square images that would show the Bandcamp and show website and show Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, whatever. They did away with that, and now it's right here, these little links, and it only shows the first link, and then the rest are 4 more links, and if you click it, it takes you to your About page, and then there's all the links. So I'm not the biggest fan of this change. It's not that big of a deal. I mean, it's going from, instead of being on your banner, now it's down in the center part, but it does make more clicks to get to the other links. Because like I said, all you can click on from this website is the first link. If you click this and 4 more links, it just goes to your About. So it's another click that anyone trying to go to these other links would have to go to. Did you have something to say, Curtis?
No, I mean, it just creates more. In that regard, as we all know, if you have Linktree or if you have link in bio or anything like that, it's all about having as little clicks as possible to get from one get from one end to the other. So that is a bit of a shame in that regard.
Exactly. That's the problem. It's taking
away where's the logic? Let's have 1 here and then 3 down here.
Let me go. I think they were saying, they've made a bunch of small changes to how links work because they were talking about they were fighting spam. They do say now you can showcase up to 14 links on your channel page. Let me share a different screen here real quick. Or do you have it? Perfect, Curtis. You got me covered. So they're saying if you scroll down a little bit, Curtis, it says you can showcase up to 14 links on your channel page. Just make sure that they follow the external links policy. And your first link will be prominently displayed, as we showed, near the subscribe button, and your remaining links will show when your audience clicks to see more links. So I mean, it's not that big of a change, but it is a change. I don't think it's the best change. Now, even worse than that, and I'm not sure if I wasn't able to get a video of it, but there's another change now happening to shorts in that you can no longer link to YouTube videos in shorts. All the links in comments on YouTube shorts are gone. They're disabled. So anything from, because the previous method of, if you're posting shorts, go to the comments and put a link to the full video, right? Like if, let's say I did a video about 3 ways to flip a sample. So if I have a short that's one of the ways of flipping that sample, I would be like, more in the short, I would put text that says full video in the comments, and then they'd click on the comments and the link would be there. That's gone. Now, instead, you can do this thing, and let me see if I can get a short. There's always been this way that they've done it where, here we go. Let me share my screen one more time. Where you see that created from Sunwarper on this video.
Yeah.
So if you click that, now this is a short I made through YouTube's own UI or their own app. You can remix a video of yours and do that. Now that means no captions, no editing beyond what the video's edited, but it gives you this option to, created from Sunwarper, and it takes you to the video. If now supposedly, but it's rolling out in a horrible way, if you upload a short from that you edited on, let's say Final Cut Pro or CapCut or something, you can add that now to that. You can add that like full video, that little button where it shows it. The issue is they're rolling it out very slowly. They did away with the links, and that rollout hasn't happened yet. So there's nothing you can do right now. So it's this horrible like in between. And then they're saying, oh yeah, and this rollout's going to happen slowly to creators. So you may not have it for quite a while, whereas someone else might have it immediately. So they just did away with this link thing that used to work. And then also any shorts that are still trending that you've done previously where you say, hey, link in the comments, that's just gone. So it makes the short like messed up now.
Nice.
And
Yeah.
FCC says bad UI design in my professional opinion. Yeah, I mean, I don't have the professional opinion, but I agree it's not good. Yeah.
I just, it's like it's
Awesome.
becoming the new Instagram in a way. The changes keep coming, they keep not living up to expectation. And I mean, even us in our private conversations with Audionaut, we've been like, wow, what's the algorithm doing in that regard? What do they want from us? What's the process? It's becoming less and less clear as time goes on, and I don't know why. I can't rationalize it.
I don't know. I think that they claim they're fighting spam. I think some of it is to probably in the long term, they're thinking of this new UI they're going to incorporate or something. That's just me surmising, but I don't know. It's very strange. I think in the long run, it will be better because I don't have a picture of it, but what it will end up being is better because now nobody clicks on comments typically on a short. So having it on the screen in the same way that I showed of that one I remixed where it says created by Sunwarper and it's clickable right there, that is better in the long run. The issue is that they've killed links. So any old videos now know they have this just dead link in the comments, and the picture that pops up saying, or the text that pops up saying, hey, click this. It's just stupidly there now. But also they're not rolling it out at the same time they remove that old method. So there's just no method to do now. So it's like you can't cross
God
promote.
Forbid before they make a change.
Yeah, exactly.
So that you have a choice and you can migrate from one to the other. No.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But should we move on to happier times and talk drums?
Happier times.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's do that. Let's move across to our round robin. Let's try and let's be less grumpy men, shall we? In the best of ways. That is the Limewire one. I don't have a round robin one this week. I do. There we go. Leveling up the drums.
There it is. Yeah.
Yay, drums. Yes. This comes in from our very own FCC. Thank you ever so much for putting it in the docket.
Once more with enthusiasm, please.
Thank you.
Say again, Jan.
Drums!
Yeah, drums. Yeah, FCC's enthusiastic. He said, yay, drums with double X. I didn't say that well. He said, yay, drums.
We are always happy to discuss and talk about and bring to the table the things that you guys want to talk about, be you patron or not patron. FCC put this in the ADSN channel, I believe. He might have put it in the Patreon, but I think it was the ADSN one. FCC also happens to be a patron. Thank you very much. But you don't have to be. If there's something that you want to know, if there's something that you want to put towards the community, this is your chance to do it. So come and say hi in a Discord and put an idea. Every week, one of us or two of us or three of us are always saying, hey, what are you guys chatting about? We'd love to hear what you're chatting about. And then we can talk about it. So FCC brought this to the table today. I'll read out his message, his original message on Discord. I'd love to know how people create beats. I've been using cut-up loops previously, but want to get deeper into creating my own rhythms. How do people do this? What instruments, hardware, etc. do people use? And what's your starting point? Do you use MIDI files or play finger drums on pads? I would love to know what different techniques people use. Great topic of round robin there. I've also spelled leveling wrong, it seems. And here we go. There we go.
He asked for
absolutely
hardware. So,
he did ask for hardware. Yeah, very much so. So beat making, exactly. So this is the beat making extravaganza. Now we've got Hydra Fighter in the chat. We also have Eon Lake here, who is a drummer by definition. Just he is the manifestation of drums.
Now let's just give the quick caveat. We have to be slightly truncated on this one. We got to leave by about 12:15. So we got about 11 minutes.
All right, so let's do this. So let's start with Sunwarper. Let's start with where you're at in this one.
Yeah, so there's a lot of different ways. Like I just put the TR-808. Is it TR? Yeah, TR-808. I have a few different drum machines, but I think there's a few different ways to approach it. There's drum machines. There's one-shots that come in your DAW. You can make one-shots, but one thing that I've been doing a lot lately, because I really want to humanize my drums, but I still want to program them, is I've been chopping drum loops and creating one-shots out of those. So that could either be, I mean, slightly copyright infringing, but you could take a song and take the drums or stem separate the drums if there's a part you want where the rest is there, and just create one-shots from that. So when I say one-shots, I mean, let's say if there's a kick, snare, hi-hat, snare, or something like that, you would isolate each single sound as a single chop or one-shot. And then you can program your drums using MIDI or on the SP, which I'll show in a minute. And from there, you can make your own drums from that sound. But what I like about this, because if you're getting sounds from a human drummer, there's variation on every little note. So every kick sounds slightly different. Every snare hit's going to be a little bit different, all that. And so you can take multiple one-shots of it, and then throughout your beat or throughout just your loop that you're creating from the one-shots, you could intersperse, okay, this snare here, but then this snare here. And so just psychoacoustically will give the sound of a live drummer, even if it's completely on the grid, which I wouldn't recommend. It will sound a little more live because there's these subtle variations happening. So I actually have a video doing this on the SP, which I'm happy to share. But is there anything you want to talk about before we go to that?
Go for it for now. Keep your explanation going, brother.
All right. I didn't know Eon looked like he had something to say, but maybe it was just pride. I hope it was just pride. I hope it was just pride.
Of course.
What I'm going to do is auto chop. We'll just use transients. So let's see what it does. Assign to pad. We'll put it on B. Now let's just fix things up a little bit. We need 2, 1, 8, and 5. Exchange. We'll put that over here. So now if we're in A. All right, let's get a beat in. Now I want to do 16 levels on this. I don't like that hi-hat, so I think we're going to take that hi-hat out. So let's do isolator. Okay, so a couple different things from there. I know that was quick. If you want to see the full video, I'll put a link to it in the chat. But so if there's a few different things that I'm doing there. First, I chop it. Then I'm changing the pitch of each sound, which you can do on any sampler, any DAW, anything like that. And then I'm also truncating the sounds because I don't like very long kicks. So I'm taking out some of the tail of the kick, and then you just add release or envelope, an envelope, and you can take out some of that. Then from there, I sequenced it using the SP, but you could do it with MIDI. And then something called 16 level, which is originally, I think, from the MPC, but it's on the new SP and stuff. It's the different velocities or volumes of it. And so even though it's the same hi-hat sample, it sounds like either different hi-hats or different hits because you're doing different volumes. So that's a lot all in there. But basically chop the drums, and then if you want to add more humanity, mess with the velocities, change the pitch, do things like that. Eon, like anything you want to add?
What do I do?
Go for it.
All right, I'll try and squeeze this in. I try and do it in as many different ways as possible for different reasons. Sometimes I want my beats to sound extremely mechanical and on the grid, robotic, metronomic.
TR-808.
Almost so they disappear. I use Digitact a lot, but the way I use the different tools, it depends on the tool. I've got a drum kit over here, Roland TD15, excellent mesh head drum kit, really realistic sounding. Your different hits triggered lots of different samples. It sounds natural. If you play the same thing, rolls and so on, it sounds almost exactly like a real drum. So if I want it to sound real, that's what I do. I sometimes record it as audio. I sometimes record it as MIDI. But either way, that's what I use that for. Whenever I do record it, I do single hits at the end, about 5 per part of the kit item, so that I can chop it and sample it if I need to. Sample it. I use a sampler a lot. I've got an SP404 over there. I sample, I chop just like Sunwarper does. I do the breakbeat thing. That is probably what Paul's trying to get away from, where you start it at different parts of the loop, or you just take different slices and play them in a different order.
That is a lot of fun, though. And I did want to add, doing it that way really quick, because Eon, like, I know you're trying to talk quickly, but if you chop it in that way, where you take a loop and just cut, instead of cutting one shots, cut segments of like the kick and the hi-hat, the snare and the hi-hat. If there's melody on top of it, you can get some really cool sounds. Like we always talk about, remix yourself. So take one of your own songs, take a 4-bar loop with the drums, with all the melody, and chop it and restructure where you're hitting, like where each one hits. You know, have the kick, obviously, one with the kick, do it there, and then move it around like that.
Yeah. On top of that, I also use OB1 and the OBZ. The OBZ's good because you can record it to a virtual tape thing and chop it and play it in different orders, just like Sunwarper.
There we go.
Very easy. You just play the different slices on your keys. It's really good. Digitact, when I use the Digitact, I tend to use the step lock functionality a lot to alter the pitch and the velocity of certain hits, you know, sounding familiar.
Yep, that's exactly. It's just, instead of taking a sample of it, you're doing it with what's it called? Per step programming. Yeah. Yeah.
And if you don't like the 8 channels of audio that you've got, you can, on individual steps, chop out individual sounds for others. So you could be using 30 sounds on different beats on 8 different channels. So I do that a lot. I also like using break tweaker and things like that on drums to come up with little fills and so on that can be dropped in at times. And the old Chaos pad. Sometimes I put drums through the Chaos pad and do stuff there for builds and whatnot. I'm looking around.
You ever do this? We'll switch to Curtis real quick, but Eon, like, or Curtis, either of you, but do you ever start with a loop, right, and then build around it with one shots and things like that? You know, that's another thing you can do.
If you're going to sample a loop, take bits of it as well so that you can change the loop. Yeah, and
EQ it. Like, what I like to do is, if I start with the sample, I EQ and make it sound all big crush and stuff, so it's this quiet one underneath, and then you add the big drums on top. And to get those big drums, what I like to do is mix multiple different samples together, like what you saw me doing at the end of that video, where I was taking the filter to drop the high frequencies out of the kick because I didn't want any of the hi-hat that was on that sample. But if I wanted to, I could thicken that sample up by having that one be the low end of the kick and then get another kick and just have the high end of that. And Curtis, that's kind of something like you're doing where you stack all these drums, right?
Yeah, I mean, I take the Hydro Fighter approach. I always have on my 16 channel template, I always have I always have at least 2 drum kits, and all of those are stacked in with drum kit with different interactions, right? So low drums, mid drums, and high drums, for example, doubled, and they themselves have maybe 2, 3, 4 kicks, snares, and hi-hats all in them. and then those are individually EQ'd in the instrument rack, which go through and to make your own sound. It's a very heavy template, and sometimes it's overkill when you don't need it, but it's good fun.
Sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. I like to combine that because I have the Launchpad here. So again, there's that finger drumming. So there's that one-shot value of it, making the drums themselves through finger drumming, combining that with loops. And then sometimes even then chopped up those loops as Eon Lake in those one shots, and then putting stuff on top. If you have a look at the drum projects, or if you look at my projects, if you have a look at the drum section, they're quite extensive. They're about 60-70% of the entire production in their own right. The reason that I do this is probably to borrow the maximalist approach that Eon Lake mentioned so readily. Because I have access to Splice, I love Splice, and I want to put this up here. If you're not aware of Splice, Splice is a monthly subscription fee, 200 crowns, so £6, £7, $8, that kind of thing. And you can just type. It's a complete database of one shots and loops and everything like that. And you can you have monthly credits which you buy. Or so you get with your monthly subscription. It tops up every month. It's always replenished. And you can go in, you can just download these, right? And now I can't share.
We are getting sound.
Yeah. You are getting sound. All right. You can just type in kick, and instantly you've got future soul, tech, house, and trap, for example. In them, you can go into the individual sample packs. There's so many sample packs. Everyone's making sample packs, for example. You got lo-fi. If you want, for example, feature bass snare, because why not? What a lovely snare that is. That's a beautiful snare sound. A tropical house, a lovely click there, for example. Stacking these together, right? Because I've got so many credits, because they give you more credits, because we're in a capitalist society and they always give you the ability to consume, then you can always find more. You can stack them together and make them through. It's a really fun way of doing it. Then putting these into samplers, right? So you can take the one shots as they are, but then I always put them into a sampler, pitch shift them, alter them, increase the transient, take away the transient, that kind of thing. There's lots you can do to make those one shots yours, and it's all royalty free. So you're not going to get a copyright strike, and it's not like you're just going, say, for example, use a feature based loop, for example. Right? If you just do a loop, then you might get a copyright strike, for example. That's quite gnarly. I quite like that. But
I like that. Yeah.
Right. If you take that loop and then you just pluck that in to Ableton or something, you're probably going to get slapped with something.
Not if you chop it. Not if you chop it.
Not if you. I think that's the key thing here. Is you can do it in any DAW. Obviously, you can see it in the SP404. Take these and make it your own. I think if you've got one shots, you can just, you're making it your own anyway. But if you've got a loop, the half the fun of it is taking something that sounds awesome, putting your own little sprinkle of the spices on it, and then making it even more awesome, because what you make is even better than anything that anyone else can make.
Yeah, and one other thing, don't be afraid to just crate dig, right? And I don't necessarily mean vinyl, but YouTube drum sound, like people just playing drums, take samples. I mean, I consider legality and things like that, but if you really need sounds, you can manipulate it. But even just take your phone and knock things like a rock or hit sand or something, and you can get a hi-hat by using a rake on sand or something like that. So there's a lot you can do. Just experiment.
That's genius.
Yeah, I did. That's one of my hi-hats I use all the time. Is actually at my parents' house. There was a rake and the backyard had sand, so you can pitch it up, pitch it down. The secret is combine sounds and mess with pitching and EQ, filter, compression, distortion, things like that, and then build. Now, if we wanted to, we can do this for another episode if our patrons or anyone watching wants. But to make the drum, like program the drums, that's a whole other discussion. But we're talking more level up the production in terms of approach, right? Get the best sound quality. That's why like stacking all these different sounds can do a lot. Really quick, because we've got to go. I want to read all the chat because we've got quite a lot. Hydrofighter says, I've been using the BeatStep sequencer synced with Ableton's drum rack. The drum rack is set up to use the one-shots Sunwarper is referring to. He also adds, the random effect on the BeatStep gives it some variety. Yeah, random is a good thing. And he says, bingo on the velocity, especially with hats. Velocity on snare and hats makes all the difference. You can get ghost notes with real low velocity and then maybe even pitching up or changing the decay of the snare so it's a lot quieter and just kind of like a clickier thing in the background. I also added, if anybody wants to watch the YouTube video that I did, it's in the chat. FCC says it is good using loops. And yeah, you're right. It is. It is indeed. We've also got FCC adding, I should probably use my Akai MPD a bit more to chop samples around. Yeah, take a loop you've got and split it into different pads, like sections of it, not necessarily one shots, but sections, and you'll see. And Hydrofighter is disappointing Curtis. He says, sorry, Curtis, I've changed my strategy. I'm putting the loops into the drum rack now. That way it can be triggered by the sequencer. Yeah, that seems like a great way to do it. And FCC asks that we do more on creating the rhythms, please. So
Sunday.
We can talk about it Sunday, but we can do it in another round robin in the future, either before I'm gone or when I'm back, but probably when I'm back, because I love talking about drums. Let's
tell you what, FCC, if you're around on Sunday, all right, buddy. Sorry, we're wrapping up. If you're around on Sunday, you're coming down to the Patreon Starstream Hangout. Yeah, coming out Sunday evening, 7:00 your time. We can talk more about it then. And then we can have we can have a round two. We can have a round two at the round robin when
the Mark II.
The Mark II.
The Mark II,
back from paternity. I think that'd be a good way to go. There's so much here. Drums and drums production is a huge topic. I think we have done a few round robins on it before, and we keep coming back to it because there's so many different ways of doing it.
Lifelong learners.
Exactly. So let's share some more because tomorrow we grow. Busy weekend in Sunday. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So
yeah. So that is our episode. Oh,
sorry.
Say again.
I was saying thanks for the question. Very good one. And it's about drum. Extra points and
Eon Lake loves drumming. Eon Lake, if you have more to say, because that was probably the fastest hold on, let me finish. That was probably the fastest I've ever heard you speak ever. And I actually really love that. But anyway, he's like, oh, let's see this. But anyways, if you have more to say, put it in the Discord, because I love hearing what you have to say about this stuff. So I would love to hear more from you on it. If I think of anything else, I'll add it. I don't just do the sample thing, but that's something I've been finding to really help. That's helped up my game. But yeah, that's our episode. If you have anything you want to add, any drum specific things you do, Hydrofighter puts them in the chat. Add it in the comments when we're done. Patrons will see you on Sunday, 11 a.m. Pacific, which I think he said is 8 p.m. UTC. Right, Curtis? Or Eon Lake? Help me out.
It said
8. Yeah,
it's 7
okay, perfect. So yeah. Well, if you're not sure, type it in a little converter, 11 a.m. Pacific, and you'll find out what time it is for you.
Timedate.com is good.
There we go. Yeah, perfect. But we will be back next week, also at 11 a.m. on Wednesdays. And if you want to see the edited video, it'll go up on podcast platforms on Saturday. If you're watching it there, consider giving a rating. If you got some value out of this live stream, give it a like. It helps a ton. Share it, tweet it, whatever you want to do. It helps. But just hanging out is more than enough. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.